working with Jordan was fascinating because he brought in the cinematic side. He obviously was really into movies. He's actually gone off and worked for a bit in the film industry. And the aesthetic and the motion of Karateka, which he continued in Prince of Persia and later in The Last Express, was really unusual for the time, this idea of rotoscoping.
I decided to try a trick early Disney animators had used called rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is basically filming live actors doing the moves that you want to animate and then literally tracing each frame to get a frame of animation. At first I started to try to do the animation the usual way by drawing characters on graph paper. And then, because it was pixel by pixel at that time that we had to do the animations. But when I tried it, it just looked stiff. And I think you were the one who had the idea of filming the movements and then counting the number of frames.
I suggested, when I saw you struggling with these pixels, I suggested that we just make a video.
Well, not video, this was 1982.
A Super 8, a Super 8 of somebody actually making those movements. I thought, I didn't remember that, Like you're right.
And you were actually a model at one point because I started by filming our karate teacher, Dennis, doing the punches and the kicks, advancing and retreating, but then later on I realized that the character would need to run, like that it was too slow to move in that karate stance throughout the entire palace, so I needed someone running, and so you put on a karate outfit and we went out into the woods in front of the house in Chappaqua, and I filmed you running in Super 8. And also the climbing up onto the cliff at the beginning of the game, that was you, climbing up onto the hood of the car in the carport.
I've forgotten that.
We're wearing, I guess, I don't know if it was my karate suit or...
Mom's probably.
Yeah, you were probably wearing Mom's gi.
Yeah.
And you had never taken karate lessons, but you did the running. Yeah, so what I did was I put that Super 8 roll of film on the Moviola, which was it was a screen with a rear projection, and you could turn the crank and stop on a particular frame, and then I would put a piece of tracing paper, I would scotch tape it to the screen and trace the outline of the character with a pencil, and then wind it a couple of frames ahead and then do the same thing. So I ended up with all these little sheets of tracing paper with outlines.
That was a breakthrough actually in video game technology, because nobody had done that before you.
I mean, it really goes all the way back to silent film. I mean, I found out later that the early animators had done this. In Snow White, Disney's animators had actually, not for the dwarfs and the animals, but for Snow White and the prince, the more human characters.
It's kind of an obvious idea because everybody knows that real live movements are totally different from what a cartoonist would draw. I mean, there are very subtle rhythms and speed changes that define a human movement, a movement of a live organism as opposed to the movement of an imagined organism.
Well, and also there's so many complexities, like there's things that you wouldn't imagine, like the way that you kind of throw an arm awkwardly over one shoulder to compensate for the change in balance.
Correct.
It's like when you see it, it looks natural, but if you're just trying to reconstruct in your head what someone does, for example, when they turn around while running, you wouldn't think of that.
And also we make adjustments of the angle at which we hold the body depending on the speed with which we're moving, so that we don't tilt over.
Yeah.
And those adjustments are very critical to the realism of the movement.
Yeah, in Karateka it's very subtle, but there's a low kick, a middle kick, and a high kick.
I know.
And I remember the frame of the high kick, the fighter leans back, and also the arm goes back, and that's something, I remember that because I had to draw that frame and use it so many times. For 2 years I was staring at that frame, but in the beginning when I tried to do a frame of a high kick, it was more like idealized.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that the body would have to lean quite that far back.
That's fascinating.
This took a very long time. It was an incredibly laborious process. It took me months to go through all these steps just to get to the point of doing the first animation test. But I can still remember the thrill that I felt on seeing that little figure moving across the screen. It was the illusion of life. It was everything I'd hoped for. This is the apartment where we made the music 35 years ago, right?
Right. And I sat right here.
Right.
You sat. Where did you sit? There or here?
Well, I don't remember. It's been 35 years.
But you had your laptop.
It wasn't a laptop.
It wasn't a laptop.
Yeah.
It was a computer. What was it? An Apple?
It was an Apple II computer.
The music that was there, just on the Apple II, was fantastic, and it just sort of like gave you a sense of, like sort of a score, happening during your game, and it was one of the most impactful as far as just remembering it as a total experience of a game that I've had in a long time.
I remember with Karateka the music, and there wasn't a whole lot of it in the game, but there were a few tunes that played at key moments, and I remember the opening music had a big impact, and it was interesting with the Apple IIc because it was a single unit, and there was a speaker built into it, and so when you put your hands on the keyboard, if you had the volume really loud, you can feel the vibration of the music being played through the speaker. And Karateka, for some reason, I remember that opening tune. I haven't heard it in I don't know how long, but I'm sure if I heard it, I would recognize it immediately. But I just remember the music having a big deal.
I knew from early Disney animation and silent movies how important music was to tell a story and make it emotional. But I wasn't a musician. So I turned to my dad. He was a businessman, not a professional musician, but he was a really good classical pianist. Yeah, that's what I grew up hearing. So Karateka was your first composing job.
Yeah.
And not all games had music at that time. It was, technically it was difficult to get music into the game because the Apple II processor could only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So anytime we played music, the action on the screen had to freeze. For example, we couldn't play the music while the princess was walking.
Right.
So we had to design it in such a way that the characters would pause, then we would play a little bit of music, then we could animate. But it was worth it because the music added drama.
Even the idea of using music in a video game was novel at that time. I even observed to you that none of these games use music. They have clicks, and they have loud clicks and soft clicks, and sometimes they had beeps, but they never had music.
Yeah, that's right. On the Apple, it had a speaker that could only do beeps.
We had that conversation. Can these beeps be turned into music? And then you explained to me that every beep had a range of frequencies and could be tuned to any particular frequency. So I said, well, why not have a series of beeps that are tuned to notes? And then you have music.
Of course, when he agreed to compose the music for Karateka, I'm not sure he really understood just how severe the technical limitations of the Apple II were. This was before sound cards.
There is one memory location that if you accessed it, it would go. And that's what you had to make sound with. That's how you made sound effects, that's how you made music. You just did that faster or slower.
He'd write out the themes for Mariko and the hero and Akuma on sheet music, and I'd calculate the hexadecimal note values and type them into the computer. I remember playing the music back for him, and he'd say, well, this note here it's a little bit sharp, and I'd bring it down one, and he'd say, well, now it's a half tone too flat, and so I'd bring it up one, and then he'd say, well, now it's a quarter tone sharp, and I'd say, Dad, this is a computer. It's a number from 0 to 255. There's nothing in between. I was trying to remember, how did we talk about what kind of music to write? Were there any?
Oh, I immediately said that you need a leitmotif, of course. That was a no-brainer. I mean, that was clear right away.
He suggested using Wagner's leitmotif approach, also used in movies like Star Wars, in which each character is represented by a musical theme. Yeah.
So I thought I was thinking of the Siegfried motif in Wagner's Götterdämmerung series. The Siegfried opera has a leitmotif for Siegfried, who is a hero, sort of an admirable figure. And I wanted that for your hero in Karateka. So I was thinking that the Siegfried motif goes something like this. It goes. And then goes in. Like that.
Yeah.
So it was too long. It had to be short for Karateka. So I tried to abbreviate it. Like that.
Yeah, except that I couldn't play notes simultaneously.
Yeah, but okay, but like that. So that's sort of a takeoff on the Siegfried theme.
It always sounded great when you played it on the piano, but then when I translated it to the Apple II,
Well,
it was.
it sounded pretty good, actually. And then we did the Akuma theme. It has to be sort of a menacing.
Yeah, making you play this for the first time in 35 years.
And then the danger theme, which is sort of related to Akuma. So we used this.
I mean, that sounds like Wagner to me too. Was that inspired by Hunding's theme and
Yeah,
Die Walküre?
exactly. The Hunding theme, right. Forgot that. And then the princess is.
I thought the music was played at the right moments. Like it was all set up very dramatically, you know, to play on the story that I think was being implied. And, you know, to me, it sort of was a precursor to all the stuff that came later.
But yeah, for Karateka, we had the hero's theme and then the villain Akuma's theme and then the princess's theme.
Right.
Just very strong flavors.
Yeah, but you know what you're reminding me of is how new that idea was at that time. You know, the very idea, the very possibility of having music in a video game, where there are no notes available, where you can only have one beep at a time. It's not obvious that can be turned into music. You know.
And it was important for creating the mood. When you have a character sort of 40 pixels high, you don't have camera angles, you don't have lighting, but you want to show that this one is the villain, and you know, this one is the princess in distress. You know, the music, just like, even if it's just a few notes and you don't really have orchestration,
Right.
it tells you right away who's who.
So it's amazing what we accomplished with that. You know, really.
Video is the music for the game that you were, but it was actually at the vanguard of a lot of pretty cool things. You to a of rigor, and just really cool simultaneous pitches, much to work with, like even the Kava Princess couldn't have right off the ear in the from the game solved player. I'd call this motif very melody and pretty right here at the cell. Distance between notes next to each other out the entire soft final little other motif, different melody that changes over the frame before. Thanks for listening.
had in a 3-year period, it's Apple, if we, that you could imagine.
Make sense.
College.
But at 20 years, exaggerate. You don't, okay, entirely do, I think, and do the on it. And genes of the leopard would have a chance to do that pixel. That's all a preview, and it's repeat of it.